Ayan, so hello. Ayan, thank you for joining us in YouTube. Ayan, so hello. Ayan, thank you for joining. Ayan, so again, ako po si Joe Mark po. Ayan, si Joe Mark. So please connect with me via LinkedIn. Ayan, so thank you for joining us. Ayan, joining me and joining us. Okay, please connect with me via LinkedIn. Ako po ay isang Adobe Education Trainer, Adobe Campus Leader, and Adobe Education Leader. Apo. Ako din po ay isang Autodesk Certified Instructor and video specialist din po ako ng ACA, which is Adobe Certified Associate. So again, yung mga credentials po na yan ay gusto ko pong ma-achieve nyo din, no? Ayan, so kaya hindi ko po masyadong na-mention yan. Ayan, so please connect with me via LinkedIn, and I know a lot of people din in LinkedIn na pwede ko pong i-refer kayo if you're a student looking for jobs, and yeah, I can connect you to opportunities here in LinkedIn. Ayan. And as promised po, no, i-share ko daw yung Illustrator Essential Training sa mga interested po na matuto ng Illustrator paggawa ng t-shirt design. Ayan. I'll be sharing that later. Okay, so if you're planning to teach or you're teaching an Adobe software, join us in Adobe Educators Philippines. And meron po kaming meron kaming YouTube replay on how to become an Adobe Creative Educator, which was shared by yung photo po niya, the lady you're seeing now is in charge of the ACE, no, Adobe Creative Educator community for educators. So siya po yung nag-explain more kasi siya po yung person in charge doon. And mas maganda po, no, na panoorin nyo po yung replay ng YouTube na yan on how to become an Adobe Creative Educator. So ito po yan. So ayan, share ko po sa comment section ng YouTube. Ayan, so naging guest po natin siya nung nakaraan, no? It's July 23, parang a week ago. So si Miss Clara po, no, mas maganda na, although kaya naman namin, of course, mas maganda po sa coming from the person itself. So ayan po yung details ng Adobe Creative Educator, and with Miss Clara.
Keynote breakout sessions
with Miss Clara Galan. Okay, so ako po ay advocate din po ng ng education, creativity, and kung na-appreciate niyo po yung time and effort na sinishare ko po sa inyo, please connect with me in YouTube. Marami po akong mga naging guest dyan on mga soft skills. So yes, I'm a technical person, and I also do believe in soft skills po. So maraming mga past guest po din ako sa YouTube na magbe-benefit po kayo pag napanood nyo yung mga techniques nila. So, mostly po yung mga guest ko po dyan sa YouTube ay matagal ng kahit hindi pa nangyari yung pandemic, matagal na po silang work from home. Ayan. So, please check them out. Again, please connect with me in LinkedIn. And announcement, I would like to share na may free po, no? Namigay po si Adobe ng free ACE exam. Okay, namigay po si Adobe ng free ACE exam kung nag-register po kayo sa Adobe Education Summit. Please check din, no? Please check it out if pwede nyo pang ma-avail yung ACE exam. Ayan, so i-share ko po yung link, no? Paki-try po, no, if it's still possible. Ayan, so pasensya na po at hindi na-announce ng maigi yan. Pero I'm sharing here the link po. Free ACA exam in, ayan, kung nag-register po kayo dyan, as you can see here, ayan, no, Adobe Certified Associate Certification. Ayan, and they're offering free exams for Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, Dreamweaver, After Effects, Animate, and Premiere Pro. Okay, so ako po ay holder ng Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere. Kung nag-register po kayo dyan, ayan, makakakuha po kayo ng ACA, pero I'm not sure if pwede pa siya, no? Pero ito po yung ano registration link. Pwede pa rin siya eh. So, please check it out. Ayan, wait ko po kayo, no? Please check it out kung pwede pang mag-register. And balitaan nyo po ako kung to confirm if pwede nga. So, yung nag-register po ako dyan, I received an email. Ayan, so ang ACA exam po will be done online, I think hanggang August 24. Ay, August 24 ata, no? Or August 14. So ako po ay nakakuha po ng exam. And I'll, again, by batch po yan. By batch. Ayan, by batch. So again, by batch po yan and online. So ako po ay, ang ite-take ko po ay Illustrator. So magiging busy po ako this coming days para sa pag-review ng Illustrator. So this one, ako po ay, mamimili po kasi kayo ng mga schedule dun eh. So I chose August 14. So I have 2 weeks to prepare for the Illustrator. Ayan. So once more, the link was shared in the comment section. Free ACA exam in Adobe Education Summit. Okay, so I think mga 4,000 pesos din po yung ACA kung hindi nyo makukuha ng free if mag-e-exam po kayo. So again, it's a great credential and it's handled by Acclaim. Ayan, so the future is digital credentials as well, because digital credentials are verifiable. So ito po yung some of the digital credentials or exam po na tinake ko with Autodesk and Adobe. So hoping you can also take up the challenge of Autodesk and ayan. So kay Ma'am Genevieve Ledama, Miss Clara, ayan, sent me the level 1 ACE badge through email. Ayan, so thank you Ma'am Jebeliza, Ma'am Jamaica, Serioli Pagalan, ayan. Yana, hello Yana. Nelly Ram, Rosemary Espiritu, Rosan Kalangian. Yan, thank you po for joining us. Okay, so ito po yung link ng level 1. So tama si Ma'am Genevieve. Actually sa pag Adobe Campus Leader ka, considered as tapos parang tapos ka na sa level 1. So ako po ay uulitin, magko-comply lang din ako kahit pero sa akin po hindi pa siya ah, nagre-reflect. Ayan, so wala din siya. Etong nasa aking badge po ay Adobe Education Trainer po yan. Ang sad thing lang dito sa edX is wala po siyang direct messaging. For example, si Miss Candace De Guzman, there's no way that I can send a message to her. So instead, I have to connect with her in Facebook or Twitter. Ayan, so sending you the link for ACE. Kung may questions po kayo regarding anything about Adobe or Autodesk, ayan, feel free to ask me po anytime. Ayan, mas lalo na po ngayon, I can provide real-time feedback. Okay, so it says here, start your journey. Sa mga nakatapos po, mga ilang hours po ba ang inabot? Ayan, so select ko na po, start level 1. So once more instead of watching po, inviting you to open up your laptops and tapusin na po natin tong level 1. So in addition, ang gumawa po nito ay actually yung gumawa nito ay ang Edge Gain. Okay? So Edge Gain po is parang consultant, educational consultant ng Adobe. Sila po yung gumawa ng program na to. Okay, so it was outsourced to Edge Gain. Ayan, so minimum 3 hours daw. So I check continue learning. So parang basic lang po, no? Intro and overview. Yeah, so let's watch this video.
Creativity is important for every learner because it is an essential 21st century skill.
Every learner should have the opportunity to explore creativity in all content areas. By doing so, it will help the learner see that they themselves can have a creative mindset.
Regardless of the field or the problem, we're going to need creativity as we move forward.
Creativity is important for every learner because it allows students to make their work unique. And in an education system where we don't enforce creativity and free thought, then students are taught to work in a formulated manner.
And it helps students to innovate and push their knowledge much further than just the things they're being taught in the classroom.
Creativity equals curiosity. And if we can get students to be curious about presenting on a certain topic that they connect with, then that information tends to stick with them just a little bit longer. And that's where the spark begins.
There are so many ways to define creativity. In science, we define creativity as an idea that is novel, good, and useful. It's our brains doing what they do. In today's fast-changing world, with the emergence of new technologies, new creative industries, and new ways of working together, creativity is as important as literacy itself. And if students are given the opportunity to approach the world creatively, we can empower them to succeed in life. When it comes to careers, the World Economic Forum lists creativity as one of the most in-demand skills groups required by employers today, a demand that's set to grow.
Our role as educators is to provide opportunities for kids to be creative. We need to recognize it when it happens and give guidance and feedback as students do creative work.
And so when we look at the role of educators, they have to be the ones that are going to mentor and cultivate that community, that culture in the classroom where it's exciting and it's admired.
Our role is to help students in what I call the 5 C's: communication, collaboration, the creative process, creative problem solving, and critical thinking.
As educators, we must give them a psychologically safe platform to explore these creative thoughts. Most importantly, we need to provide constant encouragement and allow them to rise to that creative occasion.
In terms of learning outcomes, studies show that students who are taught content using analytical, practical, and creative thinking skills are more successful across academic disciplines than those taught using traditional forms of instruction. And in our lives generally, research also indicates that creativity potential can be a better predictor of lifetime achievement, a more accurate indicator than IQ, high school grades, or peer judgments. And studies conducted by LinkedIn and Adobe find even more evidence that people with creative skills add value in the workplace and are happier at their jobs.
There is so much uncertainty with the way the world will look in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Now more than ever, allowing students to take creative risks and problem solve with the resources that they have available to them is so important.
And creativity is the driving force that is going to make any young person right now much more valuable in whatever company, whatever profession, whatever industry they are going to focus their efforts in.
All of us need to be able to think about things flexibly, to take risks, to solve problems, to move on when things aren't going exactly the way we expect, to be resilient, and to communicate. And all of those things are key aspects of creativity.
Unlike the industrial age, the conceptual age no longer requires us to just know things. Logic, reasoning, and analysis are not enough. As learners, we have to have a deeper understanding of how to apply knowledge in a variety of situations. This is where infusing learning with the creative process and exploration comes into play. That infusion allows for abilities to be developed that are required for future success and are most closely associated with right brain activities like big picture thinking, pattern recognition, empathy, and artistry. Art and creativity are no longer an indulgence, but a necessity.
So how can educators help? Our job as educators is to develop creativity in our students across all disciplines and at every level, from kindergarten through college. Whether it supports self-expression, deep thinking and engagement, or problem solving, creativity is essential for all of us. And Adobe is here to support educators, students, and classrooms foster creativity.
Hi, everyone.
Ayan, so what's in the course? The course begins by introducing you to our definition of creativity in the classroom. So ito po actually ay halos kapareho ng Adobe Education Trainer when we took the AET. So yung AET po ay mas mas comprehensive siya. Mas marami siyang requirements. So anyways, we're still not sure because this is just still level 1. Okay, so clicking on next. How does creativity relate to other skills? So tama naman po, no? Creativity is something na hindi mapapalitan ng mga computers. Ayan, and something that is uniquely, uniquely human. So check na natin kung ito rin ba 'yon yung kanina.
Currently, students are learning problem-solving skills, communication skills, collaboration, and adding that layer of creativity on there just makes the student much more well-rounded in being able to face the challenges that they are learning.
The finest artists from throughout history use their creativity to produce some of the world's most beautiful and enduring works of art. But creativity goes far beyond artistic expression. It's a skill that enhances the learning of all other essential skills and our ability to shape our world. When we engage in creative thinking, we solve modern problems in new and important ways. From tackling humanitarian challenges to designing smart cities that work for everyone. Creativity relates to and enhances other important skills like critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. Creative and critical thinking complement each other. Creative thinking helps students develop new insights into content and information. When we apply creative thinking in our communication, we find new and surprising ways to share our ideas with others. By collaborating creatively, we tap into the insights of others and come up with new ways to solve problems together. Teachers all around the world, just like you, are figuring out how to develop these skills in every subject area. They know that creative approaches to learning deepen learning itself. According to Starko, a creative mind looks at things differently in fun and unique ways. It's naturally more engaged with the subject or content in question, more adaptable to any situation, and able to solve more problems within any discipline.
So many students are trained to study for tests. They think that the longer they study, the deeper the learning. But deeper learning happens when we really grapple with a problem or an idea. We dig into it by looking at it from multiple perspectives, making connections, and exploring a variety of solutions. The deeper learning isn't studying, it's creating.
Students as content creators and global collaborators have the power to make digital artifacts that can serve as representations of understanding and shared experience.
In my own teaching, I've seen that creativity is definitely the gateway to deeper learning because we can teach a theory, but students won't really thoroughly understand it until they can actually practically apply it and create something that embodies that theory.
There are frameworks and processes that help us as educators to understand and develop creative thinking skills in our students. According to Bloom's taxonomy, the most complex and abstract of the higher-order cognitive skills is creative thinking. Engaging students in learning experiences which require creative thinking leads to solutions or products that are novel, good, or useful. Creativity can be learned over time and applied using processes that help scaffold and guide our creative thinking. Processes like design thinking, the engineering design processes, or the artistic design process have been engaging learners in developing creative thinking for years.
By bringing creative thinking in, we know that our students are going to end up with more skills, those soft skills, which are actually what employers are looking for.
My students' critical thinking, collaborative, and communication skills have all developed because of engaging in creative processes. Creative processes really require us to concurrently tap into the 4 C's at one time. You become a better communicator, you become a better critical thinker just by doing creative work.
Emphasis on creativity provides purpose for inquiry-driven practices and project-based learning by giving students the opportunity to engage in work that is relevant, interesting, and connected to the human experience. Through storytelling and creative expression, students and teachers are seeing how and where their voices fit in the global conversation, and that they are needed.
Understanding virtually any content can be enhanced by using it in creative ways. But in addition, essential social and emotional skills can be strengthened through the use of creative activities. Creativity requires persistence. It requires keeping going in the face of obstacles. It often requires cooperation with other people to solve problems that are complex enough that no single person can do them on their own.
Each process encourages and empowers students to look at a problem in new ways in order to arrive at multiple solutions to any problem. Hi.
Ayan. So, number 2 na tayo. Educator Insights by Claudio. Classroom inspiration plus stored memory and perspective. And view. Full here. Tingnan natin tong which you can view. Classroom inspiration. So, ito po yung link ng resource and sharing it now. So, are we needed to view lang naman, no? This is an example-centered activity. Okay, so hindi naman pala siya required na gawin, but Again, no, the link shared. Ito po yung mga links. Yeah, pusuan natin yan. Okay, so if you haven't created an account yet in Adobe Education Exchange, ayan, please create one. Okay, so closing this, going back, 7% pa lang tayo. Clicking next. How to develop student creativity. So in this lesson, learn how to discuss the difference between teaching for creativity. So this is an insight from Alain Starco. Watch natin tong developing student creativity.
As educators, we have a role to play in helping students develop creative skills and attitudes essential to their success in the modern workplace. The first step is understanding the difference between teaching for creativity and creative teaching. The distinction is simple enough. Teaching for creativity is developing creativity in our students. Creative teaching is teaching in a creative way. To spot the difference, just ask yourself, who is doing the creative work? You or your students?
3 effective teaching strategies that I use to develop creativity in students include, first, really identifying the problem that requires a creative solution, really understanding what that problem is. Next, researching it, and researching in particular the audience that creative solution needs to communicate with. And thirdly, brainstorming and collaborating with others so people can bounce ideas off each other and come up with that creative solution.
I think you have to begin by providing students with choices in how they learn content and how they express their learning. Can they watch a video, read a book, or explore a topic and get the same information? Have them develop multiple solutions to a problem. It can be really simple. I've seen this done so well in math. Show 3 different ways to find the area of a shape. The important thing is that we get kids to use content in new and novel ways.
For example, taking traditional assignments like an essay or book report and allowing students the choice to create either a film, a song, an art piece instead of an essay.
I love to have students record ideas while on walks with technology using talk-to-text, photos, and audio recordings.
1, provide students with an environment that encourages risk-taking. 2 is to provide students with exemplars or to teach them where to go to find examples of work or creative work that they're working on so they can see what's possible. And 3 is to provide a ton of quality feedback that is timely.
So these are ways that require such a level of research, such a level of discovery. Your first, second, third, and fourth idea are not the best ideas. It's your 10th idea. It's synthesizing your 3rd, 10th, and 50th idea, if you can even push it that far.
How can you help build a student's creativity and confidence as a creative thinker? Start by helping them find and define problems that drive inquiry, insight, and innovation. Give your students time to generate multiple ideas by using techniques like brainstorming, where they break down the elements of a problem and, in turn, generate new ideas. Help them to connect the content from multiple viewpoints and use it in original ways. Incorporate regular formative feedback into your lessons. It's important that feedback gives students information about what they could do next time and also an opportunity to act upon it, and provide opportunities for student reflection.
So as teachers, we need to give our students the autonomy to practice, to master something, and the reason for them to learn has to come from their heart. It is very important for our students to understand why they are learning this so that they can draw that personal connection between their heart and what they are learning in the classroom.
When we measure creativity, a big part of that is fluency. It's the number of ideas you generate. Some of us naturally can come up with many ideas, but most of us do well to practice. I almost always make my students come up with 20 ideas before they decide on a few to develop. They start off really disliking me for it, but in a matter of days, they see the value that their ideas are better. They're able to get rid of the unoriginal ideas rather quickly, and they understand the value of idea generation and start to do it on their own in other subject matters and other work.
It's really important for students to be able to generate ideas to develop their creativity, because most of the time it comes down to confidence, and having that confidence to come up with something and share it with others and further refine it is such an essential part of the creative process.
Ayan. So, classroom inspiration. What if? So, another example which you can view full here. Tingnan natin to. So, this is another activity or sample. Can plus create activity. So, if I can remember, merong a partnership nung nakaraan, no? And I think up to now, between yung can na yan, no? And create activity. So again, it's another resource for you to implement on your classroom, which may need, you'll be needing Spark, Adobe Animate, and Rush to utilize this experience. Okay, let me close this one. So 15%. Ayan. Select natin next. So we're into chapter 4, creative tools. Okay, check ulit natin yung video.
It's really important for students to have access to a wide range of creative tools, because that actually teaches them how to get an idea from out of their mind and then actually create it in reality.
Access to 21st century tools create 21st century skills. Some of these coveted skills include
Digital tools have opened up the possibilities on how I can share my story. I can create a video, I can create a song, I can share graphics, photography, so many different ways, and even combine all of those, whereas before I was not able to.
Using digital tools to help with expression can be useful for students across the age range. I found that for young students, especially bright young students or students with disabilities, something as simple as keyboarding can make a world of difference. Suddenly, they're able to put ideas out there in ways that people can understand, and we can see their thinking in ways that we simply could not when they were struggling with their handwriting and their big fat pencils and little stubby fingers. The one thing that we need to be careful of, or at least one of many things we need to be careful of when we're thinking about using technological tools, is to make sure that the tool doesn't become the purpose. Tools are helpful in expressing creative ideas, but we don't want the flash of the tool to overcome the importance of the ideas they're expressing.
So there's a range of tools that we use in education. So we're always helping young people to create digital portfolios, to create websites, to create CVs. And I think that more and more they're able to use these tools to solve social impact projects in the local areas, helps them to have really strong portfolios. So helping our young people to connect to a social impact problem and to a skill that is relevant will definitely empower them to make really cool decisions in when they're using creativity in everyday experiences.
As educators, our job is twofold: to learn how to effectively think about and use creative tools ourselves, and to teach those tools, skills, and processes to our students. We know that young people are extremely capable of learning new tools, some that are supported by technology and some that are not. But we don't know what students will create until we put powerful tools in their hands. The best learning environments provide opportunities for students to discover what they love and what they are passionate about. Only then can they begin to use creative tools and their imaginations to change the world around them.
I learned at university that you have to learn how to learn tools. Interfaces change, capabilities increase, and you are never a master of a program because next week it's going to be able to do something else. You always have to go at it as a learner and a student.
I support my students to be able to continuously learn new and evolving tools by teaching them how and where to go to learn themselves. This is everything. They need to know where they can find the most recent tutorials. They need to be able to distinguish what makes a good or poorly created tutorial. And I encourage them to create their own tutorials to figure out how to learn the new tools that come at their fingertips.
One way I support students' continual learning of new tools is, first of all, myself learning these new tools and seeing what's trending, and then applying them in the classroom and allowing students to try out these tools and so many different ones so that they have many different choices.
I basically crowdsource when I'm trying to learn about new technology. I pick the brains of my friends and colleagues. I frequently ask my adult students to share their ideas, and my young friends to share with me the technology that they're enjoying. I can often find ways to incorporate that in the things that I'm teaching about.
To support my students in learning the ever-evolving range of tools that are available, I make sure that I'm up to date with what Adobe is doing and what other tools are doing, and I'm constantly sharing with them great ways to use different tools. We cover them in class, but we also have groups, say on Facebook as well, and I often share new tools and new ways to use them in our little communities that are building online as well.
Hi everyone, thanks.
Okay. Going back. Ayan. So, Sonal from Sonal Kokane from India. Well, Sonal, you can click on the link. It's shown here. It's actually in edX. And if you type in Adobe Creative Educator, you'll find the resources there and the links for you to join us. So I'm actually doing this level 1. Ayan. Okay, so classroom inspiration reflecting on mistakes mistakes. So, again, another learning resource. Ayan, pasting down. So, tama naman po, no? Mistakes are opportunities. Ayan, tama naman. Mas maraming pagkakamali. Ayan, sometimes po, no? Ayan, I see a lot of young ones na takot na takot magkamali. Actually, mas maraming, earn mistakes para ma-improve mo lalo yung sarili mo and whatever it is that you're doing, because from mistakes, yan, di ba, tama, you can move forward and innovate. So wala pong masama magkamali, pero wag lang magkamali ng nung napakatindi at pagiging careless. So again, this is another learning resource for you to about growth mindset. Ayan, requiring only spark. Okay. Going back. 23% na tayo. Next. Ayan, so how to foster a creative learning culture. Ayan, so si Addison ay friend din natin yan Hindi ko lang siya na follow up. No, I think magiging speaker din natin to in the near hindi ko na mahanap, no? In the near future. Madalas din si Ma'am Addison na mag-conduct ng live stream sa LinkedIn. Ayan, Dr. I. Addison Yang. Okay, so she's also an Adobe Education leader. Ayan, just to share, no, about Miss Addison Yang. Okay, so let's watch this video.
You can foster a creative culture in your classroom and with your students by modeling, first of all, the creative process, but also showing your vulnerabilities, showing that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fail, and that we can always go back to the drawing board.
In my learning environment, we first established that we need a space in which we can all take risks. That space has to be safe, supportive, and non-judgmental. It's cultivated by celebrating our risks and reframing our failures as evidence of growth. It does not happen on its own. We work toward it every day.
I don't emphasize grades. I want my kids to feel like their work matters. And part of the way I do that is I publish their work. We post their work online. So when they're creating, they know that their work actually has purpose and intention.
Celebrate the great examples that you see. If students are able to see what their peers are doing and it is working for them, then they might be able to cherry pick those ideas and use them themselves.
I like to build time into my schedule to get to know my students. I'm explicit. I mark my calendar as discover the interests and passions of my students.
And it's so important to create experiences for kids where they all feel empowered and heard and valued in a space that offers them open-ended questions so that they can practice the skill of finding solutions in a world that is unpredictable and ever-changing.
For educators to foster a creative culture that amplifies the creative potential of our students, we need to consider two things: the individual and the collective. With regards to the individual, our objective is to ensure that each student learns the skills and attitudes of creativity and is given the opportunity to experience and practice these skills to build creative muscles. With regards to the collective, our objective is to create a learning environment where each student feels free to think and act creatively. An environment where risk-taking and collaboration is encouraged, multiple means of engagement and expression are provided, and feedback is built into every activity to enhance each learner's creative potential.
Fostering a creative classroom culture requires at least 3 things. First, it needs to be a safe space. This means there can be no demeaning and no bullying, particularly around students' mistakes, either by students or by teachers. It needs to be a place where risk-taking is safe and, in fact, even appreciated. Second, it needs to be a place where intrinsic motivation to learn, is supported and enhanced. This means students need to understand the meaning in what they're doing, they need to see purpose in their work, and they need to see themselves making meaningful progress. Once in a while, this would also entail having some choice so that students feel as if they have some input in their engagement in the things that they're doing in the classroom. And finally, of course, the third thing is we need to have opportunities to engage in creative projects and activities.
The same principles apply to distance learning. We should provide them with additional means of expression and place even more emphasis on risk-taking so they feel confident to push the boundaries in our absence.
As teachers, if we want our students to be more creative, to take a more creative risks, and we have to model such behaviors in the classroom and outside the classroom. At the same time, as teachers, I think we need to make an effort to not always put so much stress on GPA, on scores, on academic performance, but give our students the freedom to play with ideas, the freedom to make a creative mistakes, the freedom to enjoy learning for the sake of learning.
I try and mark the process rather than the end result in order to help my students learn how to embrace risk. When you just mark the end result, students will go for the safe option. But when you mark the process, it becomes about how far they can push themselves, what they're thinking, and their creative process. Always put more marks in the process than in the end product.
Here are 5 steps to foster a creative learning culture in any environment. Make creativity a goal that every student should strive for. Make time for exploration. Encourage risk-taking as much as possible. Provide opportunities for recognition and support. Create diverse groups for group tasks.
As teachers, we are not the sage on the stage, but we are actually coaches and facilitators, and we are co-learning, we're co-creating with our students, and we nurture a safe, psychologically safe space in which failures and mistakes are embraced and celebrated.
An ideal creative learning culture for me is a space where everyone feels safe and excited to share their work with others. The goal is to create the most interesting work possible, not to get it done. When we focus on our process, on defining a problem, on generating ideas, working on craftsmanship, giving and receiving feedback, and reflecting on what we've discovered, we never focus on grades. The work that my kids do is so much better. They're so much more likely to really engage with it because they know that the process matters. The outcome is less important.
So it's more like a community rather than the teacher teaching the students. It's about everyone collaborating and sharing and refining ideas.
And in the end, even though there would be lots of focus, there would be tough times because the kinds of persistence that it takes to solve problems is not always easy. I think an ideal creative classroom would always have room for laughter. I don't think I've ever been in a creative space that didn't. Because if it's not safe enough to laugh, it's probably not safe enough for creativity either.
Ayan, so...
Hi everyone. Thanks for...
Kung nandiyan pa po kayo, no, comment down kung maulan pa ba sa lugar nyo. Ayan. So, kanina po sa kanto namin nagbaha. Okay? So, classroom inspiration, quotation project. So another learning resource using Lightroom. Check natin yan. Social justice. So again, another learning resource yan, technical tutorial steps. So napakaganda po talagang ano, no? Adobe Education Exchange is really a good resource if you're looking for something, to teach in your classroom. Especially dyan, no? Shout out to yung mga parents na in-homeschool yung kanilang mga anak. So interested din po ako dyan, no? If you happen to be one, no, na ikaw mismo at nag-homeschool sa children mo, chat nyo nga ako, sir, ma'am, no, kung isa kayo sa mga taong ganun. Kasi we saw a big surge ng homeschooling ngayon, no. Okay, and I think kung alam niyo po yung si Chink Positive na YouTuber, ayan. Yung mga anak din po niya ay homeschooled. Ayan, so 30%. Let's speed things up. Ayan, every subject is creative. Is essential to every subject. Totoo naman. So nagkataon, no, we are with Adobe. So using Adobe tools, ayan, to foster creativity. Let's watch this another video.
Creativity is important for every learner because it's essential to every subject and every discipline. Whether that means coming up with a unique idea or argument in English language or literature, coming up with a novel perspective on a historical event in history, or designing a unique and valuable science experiment. Across every subject and discipline, creativity is the core to original thinking and deeper thinking. And when students have the ability to create something that's novel and new, unique, and adds value, learning across the board becomes deeper, richer, more authentic, and more interesting and engaging for both students and teachers.
To help students look at content in new ways, I often look at what's happening in the real world, what's innovative. While in schools we tend to work in silos, in the real world, people learn from each other all the time. People who work in biology collaborate with people in technology to create interesting products. I try and find these examples and show them to students so they can see that even in mathematics, in science, in every area, there is creativity, even the ones that you wouldn't normally expect to find them.
An easy way to start is to ask your students to look at the content from a different perspective. What might Gandhi think about the situation? How might Marie Curie solve this problem?
Building creative skills doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes time, effort, persistence, and resilience. It's our job as educators to help students build those skills by teaching creativity in all subjects and situations. Because creativity is the fuel of all interesting thinking, doing, and work. The challenge for us as educators is understanding how to integrate creativity into our teaching on a day-to-day basis. It really starts with asking yourself 3 key questions. How can I model creativity skills to my students? How can I encourage creativity in my classroom and lesson plans? How can I encourage my students and colleagues to be more creative? Evidence suggests that the strategies that support creativity also support depth of understanding. When we ask students to use content in diverse ways, to think and create with what they know, We not only get a glimpse into their level of understanding, we help them to deepen their knowledge as they go. Start by defining what creative thinking is. Ask yourself, what in your curriculum currently supports creativity, and what techniques and strategies can you use to get your students thinking about those subjects creatively? Here are some examples. Encourage your students to think about a subject from multiple perspectives by adopting a persona. How would their parents or friends view or think about this subject?
When you are beginning to get into this mind frame of how you can get your class and your students to take a more creative turn, think small to start. Get your kids to create one thing that maybe in the past you wouldn't have even imagined. For example, instead of having them do that worksheet, think of a way that they can show their learning, perhaps by creating a video to tell what they understand. It doesn't have to be a huge change. Start somewhere small and then get comfortable with your kids creating and move forward.
Come up with many different ideas, many different endings for a story, many different strategies a historical figure might use, many different variables that might be impacting an ecological system. Where students could be asked, let's come up with many ideas for this. Is there a place to ask, what if? What if something changed? What if we did something differently? What if a character did something differently? What if a historical figure did something differently? What might be different as a result of that? Is there a place we could use a metaphor? Is there a place we could use an analogy? And maybe most important, how can we get students to actually ask questions about this so that when they're pursuing the topic, they're trying to answer things that they really want to know?
Encourage them to ask what-if questions, build concepts through experiences, and provide opportunities where together they can brainstorm to generate many ideas. So, how can you implement these strategies right away? Step 1. Think of ways in which your students can engage in the content for your next lesson in diverse ways. Step 2. Ask your students to develop their own questions about the content. Step 3. Give your students opportunities to tie the content to their own experiences. Step 4. Give them the tools to communicate their ideas in new ways.
I think when we stop thinking about teaching a subject, but rather in engaging students in the real work of historians, scientists, and authors, we see that all of these disciplines engage in creative thinking, and the kids get to do that in an authentic way. It's not about adding creativity in, it's really about uncovering the natural creativity of all the disciplines.
Some teachers may think of math, for example, as a subject where creativity might be a little harder to incorporate. We tend to think of math as a subject that has a right answer, and students are supposed to calculate it. We don't want them to be creative, we want them to be accurate. Not necessarily. Truth is, mathematicians solve things in many different ways. And so one thing that you could do is to challenge students to find many different ways to solve the same problem.
For example, my son was learning about shapes and angles, and instead of just looking at it on a worksheet, he created an Adobe Spark video where he went around his house and took pictures, real-world examples, and pulled them together and made meaning by explaining what each angle was. That connection will live in his brain forever.
Ayan. 38%. So, again, another learning resource. Check lang natin para wala tayong maiwanan. So, again, Adobe InDesign is used for layouting po no, ng mga magazines, ayan, brochures. So, kaya din po ng Illustrator and Photoshop. But the most efficient tool for that activity, again, is Adobe InDesign. Okay, so this one's from Todd Taylor. Ayun, again, kompleto po. May mga lesson plan, no? It even has rubric, assignment, prop. Ayan. Okay, moving forward, 38% selecting next. How can you assess creativity? So this one's from Brett Salakas. When you have a large formative assessment, have been checking survey to feed feedback. But you also have to set a smart goal. Okay, sino pong nakakaalam ng SMART? Na-mention dito SMART. Acronym ng ano, no? Ng SMART. Ba, measurable, attainable, 'di ba? Pa-comment nga kung nandiyan pa kayo. Okay, let's watch the video on how to assess creativity.
Feedback and formative assessment are really important because they focus on growth rather than the end result. They push your students to do better as they're actually doing it. And studies have shown that giving assessment at the time of need increases students' knowledge and understanding. It's incredibly important.
Having creativity as one of the items, for example, on a rubric, so that students understand when they have utilized creativity in the ways they've thought about content or the ways that they've presented their content, allows them to see when they've done it, and also allows them to see that it's important. If you can separate out the development of creativity as something to be valued and assessed from perhaps the technical skills, from how neat it was, or even sometimes whether they misunderstood some of the content but also used creativity, clearly they get assessed down for misunderstanding the content, but their creativity was still valuable.
Assessment plays an important role in developing a student's creativity because an assessment is like a brief. So if a student's hoping to get into a creative industry and work as a professional in that field, part of their role will involve meeting the briefs for clients. And so with an assessment, students must meet a particular criteria. So it teaches them how to use their creativity in a way that's going to solve a problem or meet the brief of someone else.
Assessment should have a clear structure and delivery goals, but should be open for student interpretation to allow for innovation. For instance, give the student a prompt, but don't tell them what digital tool they have to use. It's all about balance when it comes to assessment.
For students to learn and grow, feedback is essential. Whether it's peer feedback, self-assessment, or your own formal or informal evaluations, giving meaningful assessment of creative thinking and work is exciting and important. Assessing creativity doesn't have to be challenging. Assessing creativity is not the act of grading. Rather, it is the act of helping students' creativity grow. We can look at assessing creativity in two ways. Assessment of creativity is evaluating how well students did at a creative task. However, when we assess for creativity, we focus not just on the finished product, but on the creative skills and processes it takes to be creative. In other words, assessing for creativity is all about developing creativity in students.
The role assessment plays is really critical when you are building out creative thinking. It's important to understand that assessment for learning, or formative assessment, is really what we want to focus on, especially when we are encouraging creative thinking. Students need to be able to get explicit feedback so that they can iterate and explore their understanding of concepts, and then go back, make necessary changes, and do it again, and feel secure that they're not being evaluated to take creative risk.
Through using Adobe's great products such as Adobe Spark to Photoshop to Illustrator to Premiere, there are some great opportunities in terms of how we connect that back. And sometimes in my lessons, I get young people to talk about their experiences of using these products. And that's a great formative assessment because we're able then to get young people to express themselves. And then after that, then we can actually test their strengths of their knowledge of the skills. And again, that's more of an assessment that we can actually do to really fine line and tune our young people.
So, what should we look for to recognize creativity when it happens? Start by asking yourself, is the student's thinking or work original for them? Did they look at a problem in a new way? Next, has the student elaborated on their ideas or added detail and complexity to their work? And finally, do the ideas meet the criteria or learning goal? Are these ideas meaningful, useful, and relevant? In order to recognize these traits of creativity, we first have to provide opportunities for students to be creative thinkers. In math, students can find multiple ways to solve a problem or find and share the equations, algorithms, and datasets in their own lives. In science, they can design an original experiment or develop a new question. In literature, they could invent a unique interpretation of a text or design a visual representation of a poem or novel. Once they have the opportunity to do creative work, we can then provide clear and specific feedback to help students understand how to strengthen their creative skills. So then, when we ask students to self-assess and reflect, they get to think critically about their own creative growth. Of course, these types of assessments can be formal or informal, individual or group focused.
Decisions about formative and summative assessment are an essential part of creating a classroom in which creativity is supported. Summative assessments can give us a wonderful opportunity to have students demonstrate their knowledge by using content in complex ways in creative products. Interesting, I have found from elementary school all the way up through graduate school, when I give choices in those summative assessments, students work harder, they are more engaged, and they do just better work when they have some choice and they feel as if they'd had input into that creative product.
We know from research that learners with effective feedback loops that are immediate, specific, frequent, and actionable learn faster than those without. This is especially important when it comes to creativity because these feedback loops provide a space for growth, connections with others so that we're not creating in isolation, and allows for empathy to remain at the core of what we are creating.
However you choose to assess creativity in your classroom, it's important to do so in a learning environment that supports growth mindset and creative risk-taking, where your direction, feedback, and assessments help students develop their maximum creative potential.
Hi everyone, thanks.
Ayan. 46%, nasa kalahati na tayo. At may tanong from Ma'am Jenny Ledama. Paano po makukuha ng Adobe Certification Associate? Ayan. So one way, ewan ko po kung available pa, is registering sa Adobe Education Summit. Please check po if it's still possible. Nakakuha po ako dyan ng free ACA exam and I'm planning to take up Illustrator. Ayan. Yes po. Actually, yes naman, magagamit yun naman po sa freelancing. But what we're talking about here is in this competitive world po ay syempre, 'di ba? Mas maganda yung you're always going for the extra mile. Again, wala pong masama kung may na-achieve kang bagong credential. So, totoo 'yun. Mas maganda, and a certification exam demonstrates your proficiency in an Adobe software. So, ayan, share ko po tong brochure ng ACA exam. Ayan, so you may talk to the guys of MechaniWeb for the pricing and sa schedule as well. Ayan, and ang LinkedIn is a database. So if I type in Photoshop or something, mabilis pong lumalabas yan. So it's not only a great tool for recruiters to hire someone, it's also a great tool for us po, no? Tayo din for looking for clients and finding jobs. So once more, thank you for joining us, Ma'am Jenny Viv Ledama. Antayin ko po kayo, no, na magkaroon po kayo ng badge ulit na ganyan. Share nyo lang po, ano po ba yung balak mong i-take na exam, Ma'am Genevieve? Chat nyo nga po kung ano po yun. Bibigyan ko po kayo ng tips. Ayan, if ever. Or, yeah, kung wala na yung kung open na yung ano ulit, no? Baka ako pa yung mag-proctor sa iyo. Okay, so going back, itong portion na to ay about Adobe's creative tools. So, nagkataon, we're talking about Adobe, di ba? So, again, marami pong creative tools, no? Or tools that can foster, nurture creativity. Ayan, so hoping yung certification exams gets to be implemented din, no, sa mga schools nyo po if ever. Okay, let's watch creative tools ng Adobe.
Creative tools allow students to take the abstract, take what's in their mind, and put it into a tangible product, create an artifact that others can benefit from or use.
If we want to build a house, if you want to build a bridge, you need to have the right tools. And just like building those kinds of structures, building out your creative ability requires that you have access to tools that will enable you to do that. And so the better the tools, the more advanced the tools become, the better you get at being able to push boundaries with those tools.
At Adobe, we believe everyone has the potential to make a creative impact on the world. And that by developing creative skills, understanding the creative process, and using powerful creative tools, you and your students will have the power to shape the future. There's creativity inside of all of us. Unlocking your creativity starts with a choice to make the leap. Adobe has created the tools that give you and your students the power to explore and express ideas to strengthen creative muscles. Here are a few of our favorites.
My personal favorite creative technology is actually Adobe Spark. And my own undergraduate students, they love using Adobe Spark to do their term papers, reflection papers, and to share their ideas with the public.
And it's important to understand that you give the students those skills at early ages using Adobe Spark Post, then graduating to the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. They're building the capacity to create information and present information in incredibly engaging and striking ways. And I mean, literally, find me an industry, find me a professional that if they had those skills and used them would be at a disadvantage.
Adobe Spark is an intuitive creation tool with built-in design principles. It can be accessed through our app or on the web, and has everything you and your students need to start creating graphics, videos, even web pages on your desktop or mobile, and arrive at professional-grade work in minutes. Adobe Creative Cloud contains our industry-standard collection of creative apps that help you and your students make anything you can imagine. You can use them to design graphics, edit photographs, produce animations, add visual effects to video, and so much more. Adobe Acrobat, part of Adobe Document Cloud, can be used for deeper reading, engagement with texts, and creative and critical thinking. So no matter where you are in your creative journey, Adobe empowers you and your students to unleash creativity and tell your story to the world.
Hi everyone.
Ayan, so we're done watching the video. Okay, so ako po ang preferred ko po na, ayan, what's your preferred, no? Tanong ko po sa mga viewers natin, what's your preferred Adobe software? Ako po I prefer After Effects. So again, to those who are interested in learning Adobe Spark, ayan, marami pong resources dito sa edX din yan. And if you're interested to learn Adobe Spark via LinkedIn Learning, PM nyo lang po ako, no? Ayan, good afternoon, Ma'am Evelyn Makasling. Yan. Thank you po. Sabayan nyo kami, Ma'am Evelyn. Tapusin na natin itong level 1. Ayan, so another learning resource, which one? Using Adobe Spark page. Ayan. This 3-part lesson plan focuses on how to get your student started with the tools. Ayan, so let me share this resource. Okay, 53%. 53%. Ayan, moving forward, lagpas na tayo kalahati. What's next? Adobe Teaching Resources in the Education Exchange. Yes, marami talaga dyan sa edX. Again, let's watch this video.
Adobe's Education Exchange has a number of teaching resources made by teachers for teachers, including lesson plans, activities, and projects that have really been designed to make sure that creativity, communication, critical thinking, and collaboration are at the heart of any learning outcome or any learning activity. The resources span subject areas from language and literature to history, science, social studies, and math, both in primary and secondary and in higher education. One of the great things about the teaching resources on the Education Exchange is not only are they all free, but because they were made by educators, they've actually been tried and tested with real students in real classrooms. Because of the community on the Education Exchange, educators also receive feedback and comments from other educators who have also used their resources to get inspiration and to adapt the different resources to suit their own classrooms and their own unique contexts.
Welcome to the Adobe Education Exchange, a collection of free teaching resources, lessons, activities, and videos, and professional development courses designed by and for educators to help you transform your classroom experience, inspire creativity in your students, encourage and enhance digital literacy using a range of Adobe tools. For over a decade, the Adobe Education Exchange has brought together a global community of close to 1 million educators across grades and subject areas who learn together, share ideas, and inspire one another. You can also receive certificates and digital badges to demonstrate your professional learning and accomplishments. Search for the things that interest you by subject, grade level or student age range, Adobe product, author, country, or state, and find materials that align to popular standards and curriculum like ISTE, Khan Academy, NGSS, Pixar in a Box, National Geographic, Royal Shakespeare Company, and more.
One of the best things about the Adobe Education Exchange is the community. From Adobe Creative Educators to all of the teachers and faculty who have shared over 7,000 resources. It's a great opportunity for educators to come together and ask questions and get inspired and see what other people have done to add digital literacy to their curriculum or to expand a subject area or grade or learning objectives in new and unique ways. It's been wonderful to see that community really support each other and create new and exciting pedagogies and ways of approaching subject matter and really fostering self-expression in their students.
These materials make it simple to integrate creativity and Adobe into the curriculum you're already using, or to design your own from scratch. And because teachers learn best from other teachers, the Adobe Education Exchange also lets you connect with creative educators in our global community, interact with industry experts, contribute ideas and resources, and get feedback on your contributions.
What is really special about the Adobe Education platform is that through this exchange of resources, teachers have really designed these intentional ways to build and grow skills in a way that uses the Adobe tools to amplify learning, so that the Adobe Cloud is much more than just a tool and the technical aspects of that tool, but the Education Exchange platform is a space where educational designers and teachers are considering how their skills and content is being grown to intentionally spark creativity and curiosity and to empower student voice in deep, meaningful ways that are aligned to best practices.
Find exactly what you need to inspire your digital classroom with the Adobe Education Exchange.
Ayan, so again, we're about to finish level 1. So distance learning resources, again, pakadami po no, sa edX. So ito yung Adobe Distance Learning Resources. Ayan, sharing this now. So may social justice can create. Ayan, so for secondary, higher ed. So again, meron din mga webinars ang Adobe. So madalas po yan. Ayan, it even has how to run online events for students. Go paperless with your teaching. So sobrang dami po, no? So again, if you're interested in purchasing an Adobe, so it's called an Adobe subscription po, no? If you're interested in purchasing a license for Adobe, ayan, you may contact any of our friends in MechaniWeb po. Lady Gaga. Ayan, well-being resources for educators. So sobrang dami po, no? About edX, adobe.com/distance-learning. Okay, moving forward, selecting next. And what's next? Adobe program for creative educators. Ayan, so naalala ko po, August na pala, no? Parating na rin po pala yung new version ng Adobe Education Trainer. Iba pa po yun sa Adobe Creative Educator. Ang dami, no? Marami silang mga running programs. So again, yung campus, Adobe Campus Leader, ayan, pinalitan na po nila yan. It's rebranded to be Adobe Creative Educator. Okay, so let's watch this Creative Educator programs by Adobe. Thank you for joining me.
My name is Clara Galan, and I lead our Global Educator Community programs here at Adobe for Education. We're so excited that you're interested in the Adobe Creative Educator program, which is for educators in every subject area and grade level. In this community program, you will receive curated professional development materials, information about virtual and in-person events, and the opportunity to connect with like-minded educators from all around the world. Plus, we'll also feature Adobe Creative Educators on our blog and social media channels, so we can't wait for you to join in the global conversation. To recognize your professional development, you'll earn badges for completing each level of the Adobe Creative Educator program. Whether you're new to Adobe tools or have used Creative Cloud extensively, we provide a scaffolded experience that is personalized for your needs to best reach your students. We look forward to recognizing your creative thinking and sharing it with the rest of the world. Thank you for all that you do to support students and colleagues in igniting creativity across the curriculum.
Welcome to the Adobe Creative Educator program. We're excited to have you be a part of our global professional learning network. The Adobe Creative Educator program is designed to empower educators who inspire creativity for the next generation in every subject area, from K-12 to higher education. We're excited to share the benefits and professional development opportunities of becoming an Adobe Creative Educator. We invite you to take the first step in the Adobe Creative Educator program by completing a learning artifact to earn your Level 1 Adobe Creative Educator badge and certificate.
Earning your Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 badge requires you to complete a learning artifact using the information in this course. This learning artifact is simple. It's a graphic that can be used with your Adobe tool of choice. This can be Adobe Spark, Post, Illustrator, Photoshop, and more. This graphic should answer the question, how are you inspiring creativity in education? This can be even more specific as, how will you support your students' creativity? Or what is your goal as a creative educator? After you complete your graphic, submit it in the assignment of this course and share it out on your social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and more with the hashtag #AdobeEduCreative. Or you can simply email it to your colleagues as a form of inspiration. We'll also provide you with some colorful templates and graphics that you can use to build your online presence and professional learning network. So after you've completed this 1-hour course and the assignment, we will provide you with your Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 badge. So this is a digital attachment that you can share with your networks in addition to awarding your badge on your Adobe Education Exchange profile.
And keep coming back to our Creative Educator site to see our ever-growing resources.
Participate
in our events
that you can use to build your online
opportunities to connect with like-minded educators from around the world.
Once you've earned your Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 badge, we're excited to connect you to other Adobe Creative educators from all around the globe. Be sure to join our Facebook group for upcoming announcements. We'll also send you a monthly newsletter with highlights from other Adobe Creative educators and bring you a sneak peek into some of the projects Adobe is working on with partners in educational organizations. We can't wait to shine a light on the work that you're doing with students and colleagues, and excited to have you join us in our mission to nurture the next generation of lifelong creators.
I'm so honored to be a part of the creative Adobe community and to learn from others and to really embody this what I do as a teacher and a student at the same time. Learn from others and share what I know. We co-learn and co-create. And we can't do that without a powerful and supportive community.
Professional learning networks or communities are a great place for educators to connect with amazing teachers all across the globe. You can share and bounce ideas, collaborate on projects, and stay current on educational technology trends.
Come and join our community of creative educators. We're so excited to hear from you and learn together.
Ayan.
Hi.
So, ways to connect. First, join Creative Educator Facebook group. Ayan, no? So once more sa ating Adobe Educators Philippines, nandyan po yung mga taga-Adobe mismo, sila Clara, nandyan mismo, no? And sa Digital Creatives Philippines. So if you're planning to be an Adobe Education Leader seeking a nomination, malakas po yung weight pag nagtuturo po kayo at nagvo-volunteer po kayo sa ating community, no? To share what you know and to inspire everyone, no? So, malaking weight po pag visible kayo sa Adobe in our communities. So, in Digital Creatives and Adobe Educators Philippines po. Ayan. Okay, so for events, ayan, may events din. Ma-check nga natin. So yun din, no? Okay. And live streams. Opo, madalas ang live streams. So now is a good opportunity to reflect on what you have learned and consider what you might be doing next to help develop some prompts to get what have you learned overall. Okay, do you think about yourself as a creative educator, as a creative learner? Okay. How might you design engaging lessons to engage creative thinking? Do you have any initial ideas you could brainstorm with a colleague? How might you introduce others to creativity and the ideas in this course? Further reflect. So again, it's all about creativity. Ayan, so selecting next, check natin. Okay, there's an assignment. Okay, let's watch the assignment. How will you support your students' creativity? What is your goal as a creative educator? We have two options, A and B, using Spark or using Illustrator or Photoshop. Ayan, so hashtag Adobe Edu Creative. Ayan, so attendance check. Kung nandyan pa po kayo, no, and malapit nyo na rin matapos yung level 1 like me, sinabayan nyo po ako, no. Definitely may na-achieve po tayo itong afternoon na to. So if you're still there, please comment down hashtag Adobe Edu Creative. Ayan. So let's watch the assignment overview. Once more, if you're still there, attendance check. Comment down po, hashtag Adobe Edu Creative. Ayan. Ma'am Emmy Fedelin, sana tapos na rin po kayo, no? Thank you for joining us. Ayan, malapit na tayo matapos.
Congratulations! You've almost completed Adobe's Creativity for All course. But to receive your official Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 badge, first, you need to state your creative intent and then create a graphic to represent it and share it with the world. Design your graphic in Spark Post, Illustrator, or another Adobe program. We can show you how. Pick one of these prompts to get you started. How will you support your students' creativity? Or, what is your goal as a creative educator?
I've tried to support my students in becoming more creative by building it into every classroom activity, every assessment. It's become a part of our culture. And because it's part of our culture, students don't think of it as something someone else does. They know that everyone can be creative, no matter what your jam is, whether you're a mathsy or you like science or you're into phys ed, they know that everyone can be creative in whatever field they work in.
My learners know that I care most about how they engage in their work, what they discover, It's never about what they created. That's just the bonus.
I'll support my students' creativity by fostering a safe and supportive environment where they feel comfortable in sharing their ideas, by exposing them to amazing examples and practitioners and tools that they can then use to develop their creativity further, and by always having faith that they can achieve anything.
Let's take a look at some of the creations made by educators you've met on the course.
My goal as a creative educator is to push students to be one of a kind, to really realize that they have a unique voice and a unique perspective that's not like anyone else's. And if they take their personal background and their history and the things that they're passionate about and the ways in which they want to express themselves and bring that to whatever problem they're trying to solve or whatever subject area they're engaging with, something incredible can happen. New information, new perspectives, new solutions to some of the biggest problems in the world can be found only in that space where students are given the ability to be creative.
My goal as a creative educator is to empower students and my peers to have a platform where their voices are elevated and they feel empowered to tell their stories.
You've seen what can be done. Now it's your turn. It's time to get started on your journey as an Adobe Creative Educator. And when you're finished, share what you've learned with Adobe and your community.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching.
Yan, okay. So are we going to use Spark Post, Illustrator, or Photoshop? So let's check the additional resources. Ayan. Thank you, Ma'am Emmy, Ma'am Jebeliza Garde. Thank you so much for being still there. Naulan pa ba? So hindi ko po alam kung naulan pa rin, pero mukhang madilim pa rin. Okay? Using Adobe Spark Post. Ayan. So, ito po yung link for Spark Post. Ayan. Shared. Siguro, itatry ko yung Spark Post para maiba. Kahit ako po, ako mismo, hindi pa ako masyadong familiar sa Spark Post. Okay. So, click na natin next. We're down to 84%. So, if you want to receive an Adobe Creative Educator badge, you can apply. How will you support your students' creativity? Or what is your goal as a creative educator? Please submit your work here as either a shareable Spark link. You can paste your Spark link in the reflection section below, or as a downloaded image file exported from Spark, Photoshop, or Illustrator. So, meron din siyang peer review. So kayo po, no, how will you support your students So ako po, wala akong pin-repair, no, for this. Kung ano talaga yung pumasok sa sa isip natin, no? How will you support your students creativity? So may title siya, no? Title and description. Okay, so siguro title ko, Giving Creative Freedom. Ayan. So ako, I will support, no, sasagutin ko na lang yung support students creativity by giving them creative freedom. Siguro lagay ko na lang by giving creative freedom. Tama ba? Spelling ko ng endeavors. So, mukhang mali. Yan, endeavors. So, products. Try natin yung spark. Images, add software and services. Check na lang nga natin yung Photoshop, Illustrator, and Spark. Select ko okay. Kailangan ano, no. So, dahil ito try natin yung Spark, i-delete ko na lang muna to. And select continue. If you want to receive, you can apply what you learn and submit your work here as either a shareable Spark link or as a downloaded image. So, gamitin natin yung Spark na lang, no? So, kung Spark, we can add a web link. Ayan, so I'm in Spark. So there's a plus button here na let's select view all. Tingnan natin kung ano laman ng Spark. graphic. So may template siya, no, for Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, for print. How about poster? Okay, so I'm seeing na gagawa tayo ng combination dito, no? I can add a text, photo, or icon. Okay, so mukhang matatagalan ng onte. Gagawa na lang ako ng graphic dito, no? Okay, so yung peer review ay ang peer review I think is yun ay magko-comment ka sa gawa ng iba. So check nga natin tong gawa ni Anush Shadeva. Yan natin sa reference. Blanco yung kay ano. It's a blank work. Let's check sa iba. Sino pa kaya? Embark Student Voice and Connection from Lee So Im. Hindi niya na-paste, no? Tingnan natin. Okay. So siguro ganito na lang din, no, ang gawin natin. So graphic lang naman, no. Tingin pa tayo ng iba as a reference. So yung peer review, from what I can remember, yung mga panahon ng Adobe Education Trainer, you are required to comment down, no? Kapareho na ito, comments. Okay, so check natin tong kay Girja. Etong sa kanya parang Spark Spark page. So iba-iba pala yung gawa. So tayo try natin yung graphic lang. Ayan. So kay Christina Teresa, I would like ang kanyang assignment ay photo ng, is this a cat or a puppy? Yan, a puppy. Check pa tayo ng mga ibang gumawa. Kay Anisha Virani, Jennifer Stetler, check natin. Okay. Sa kanya graphic din, no? So, yung iba, okay naman. So, let's use Spark Post na lang, no? Para mas, ewan ko kung mas mabilis ba, no? So, ano yung sinabi ko kanina? Sa assignment. Okay, so itong template na to babaguhin ko, no? The theme, return to add a new line. Or, pwede ata nating i-delete na lang to. Ayan. Tapos at hanap tayo ng mga inspirational quotes, no? Ayan, so may nakita akong maganda. Okay, pero ibahin natin to. Hanap tayo ng photo ni Einstein. Ayan, so si Ma'am Genevieve, Spark Post siya. So, under images, hanap tayo nung hindi tayo makakasuhan ng copyright. So, saan ba yun? Images, tools. So, under tools, usage rights, labeled for use with modification. Ang kinlik ko. So, ito kay Albert Einstein, no? Save, right-click, no? Right-click, save image as, rename ko to as Einstein. Okay, so going back to Spark. Let's add a photo. Okay, I'm going to upload the photo na din-download natin, which is Einstein. Ayan, so lagay ko lang siya muna dyan. I-delete ko to. Ito siguro, creative freedom to my students. Tapos size, palitin natin ng onte. Ayan. Tapos may nakita tayong magandang quote kanina, no? May nakita akong quote. I'm going to copy this one, no? The capacity to learn is a gift. Okay, ito, dagdag natin to, no? The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. So, totoo naman po yan. Ayan. Lagay natin. Credits to the author, Brian Herbert. Okay, so dadagdag ko yan sa ating graphic na ginawa. Going back to Spark Post, dito ko na lang siya ilagay. Siguro lagay natin dito. Nase-select kaya to. So, pwede natin ibahin yung type. Gagawin kong Harman Sans. Ayan, resize natin to para mas maliit. Iangat natin to. Palakihin siguro natin to, no? Bold. Color. Gawin natin yellow din. At may maling spelling. Background color. Pwede na ba yan? So, logo. Let's add a logo siguro, no? And that logo is a photo. Meron po akong sarili kong logo, no? I have my own logo. Which is, yan, JMRC. Yan, so nandito na siya. Ilagay ko na lang siguro maliit dito. Yan. So, ang purpose ko po ng creative freedom is, totoo naman po, no? And sa mga familiar po sa akin, ayan, madalas po akong magsabi ng kusa. Kusa po sa akin is, creative freedom din yun. Meaning you have the creative freedom para gawin yung nararapat. So, ako po kasi ay hindi rin ako mahilig mag-micromanage. Ayan, so I always give my team members, ayan, the creative freedom to do whatever they they want, because I believe na definitely yung mga kasama ko po or mga students ko may isip yan na mas maganda sa atin. Ayan. Personally sa akin, mas maganda pa sa naisip ko. Kaya I always say to them na you have the creative freedom. So, given a freedom, 'di ba? Walang boundaries, you will have the opportunity to be creative. Okay, so with just a few tweaks, meron na tayong sarili nating graphic that we can share. Okay, I'm going to publish this one. going to copy the link. Ayan, para sure, ipe-paste ko yan sa notepad. Wait lang natin. It's generating a link. So, maganda yung ano, no? Maganda tong quote na to. Totoo naman. The capacity to learn. The willingness to learn is a choice. So, once more, yung choice na yun ay, ayan, no? Kusa. So, ako po ay malaking advocate ng kusa. Ayan. So, ako po, I am trying as much to anticipate kung ano yung gusto ng aking boss, ng aming customers, 'di ba? Uunahan ko na po siyang gawin yung gusto niya. And again, that is kusa, and that's the reason also sa aming ano, no, success, and kung bakit favorite tayo ng ating mga customers po, kasi may kusa na tayo. Hindi na kailangan tayong sabihan pa ulit-ulit. Gagawin na po natin. Uunahan natin siya, no, na hindi na niya sasabihin, ay, ginawa na natin. So again, creative freedom, kusa. Initiative in English. Okay, so I have generated the link. Tama ba? Again, no? Ayan. So I'm going to copy the link na lang and post this in LinkedIn. So, tapos na po ako sa aking assignment. Good afternoon, Sir JC. Ayan, join po kayo, no? Tapusin nyo na rin, sir, yung ACE Level 1. Okay, so going back, I'm going to add files. So, kailangan niya ng files and web links. So, i-edit ko na lang, no? Yan, update ko na lang. Diyan ko ilalagay. Tapos, for the file and web links, yun, I can download this as a JPEG. So, sa taas po, no, download. I'm going to download this now. I'm going to name this as Creative Freedom. So, going back sa ating assignment, I'm going to select Add Files. Pwede daw drag and drop. So, dragging and drop. Done. Nag-update ba? Ayan, done. So, ito yung ginawa ko, no? And simple as that, we have created our assignment. So, 92%. I'm going to click next. Tapos, kung sa mga viewers po natin na tapos na, no? Share nyo lang po sa akin para mabigyan ko rin kayo ng peer review. Ayan. So, try ko mag-search ng pwedeng bigyan ng peer review kay Christina Teresa. Ayan. Hanap pa tayo ng kapwa Pilipino natin. Mariela Longoria Marukin. Baka Pinoy din to. Ayan, malapit na po tayo matapos. Mariela Longoria. Monica, parang ang daming ano, no? Dami. Puja Verma. Juan Pablo Aponte, Sergio Gomez, Jacqueline Beck Otino, Corsano, parang hindi Pinoy. Terra Nova, Jaime Miranda, mukhang Pinoy. Ayan. So, kay Ma'am Mariela Longoria, my goal is through funnel. Ayan. So, kahit ano, no, basta may comment lang. My goal is that funnel is. Sabihin natin, I agree to that. Encourages creativity as well. Ayan. So, post. Next, explore daw na explore. Yan, thanks for sharing. Ano pangalan niya? Thanks for sharing. Jaime. Post. And lastly, kay Teresa. Sabihin na lang natin it's a cute puppy. Ayan. Hoping you can share a text message on how great as well and on the photo. Sabihin na lang natin again, thanks for sharing. Christina, great job. Ayan. Post. Okay, so tama nga, no? We have to give a peer review, tatlo. So, clicking next. Complete na tayo. Ayan, congratulations. Okay, and as promised, if you are my connection in LinkedIn, I am going to share this course to you po, no? It's Illustrator CC 2015. I-share ko po yung mas lower kasi possibly yung iba po sa inyo dyan ay my lower version. Not everyone I have seen ay laging may latest version ng Illustrator. So, downward compatible tayo ngayon. And sharing this to all of my connections. And siguro my message is thank you for joining me in completing Adobe Creative ano ulit to, no? Creativity for all. Saan na yun? Educator. Ayan. Level 1 in. Ayan, share ko na rin kay Sir J. Tag ko si Sir JC. Hindi pala kita friend, Sir JC. So again, if you're my connection in LinkedIn, ayan, I just shared a free course to you about Illustrator. If ever you need the exercise files, i-PM nyo lang po ulit ako sa LinkedIn. Ayan. So, once more. Ayan. Connect with me in LinkedIn. Ayan. So, chinat ko po sa ating comment section. Ayan. So, again, I'm going to share this now. I'm going to share. So, additional learning po sa mga gustong matuto ng Illustrator. Okay po na course to at ayan, aaralin ko rin to, no? So, sabayan nyo rin po ako. Mukhang mauna po kayo, no? This is 6 hours in length. Okay, so it's ayun, Jeron Mabini, ayan. Na-share ko na, sir. So, hoping Sir JC na maging ano ka din, ace. So, ayan. Again, walang masama na may natutunang bago ngayon, may additional credential. Pero mas masama po kung pinalipas natin yung araw na wala po tayong, hindi tayo nag-level up, wala tayong natutunang bago. Again, so please comment down na lang po sa aking post. At para ma-view nyo po yung post ko, so I'm using another account. Ayan, so ito po yung account ng, ito yung profile ko po, no? Just head down to activities, select see all, filter nyo po sa post. Ayan, so ito po yung latest na post na sined ko. Pusuan nyo na lang po, no? If you appreciate the effort, the time, and again, thank you din po for nasinamahan nyo po ako, no? And sana ginawa nyo rin po at matapos nyo na rin yung level 1. So, comment down na lang din po sa aking post ng Adobe Edu Creative. Ayan, so ito po yung post ko, no? And if you have, you can download the app of LinkedIn Learning. So, may app po yan sa phone, Android and Apple. So, pwede nyo i-click yan at dadalhin po kayo sa LinkedIn Learning, and then hindi po trial to, no? It's an access. So, ma-access nyo na po at mapapanood nyo po. So, notice hindi siya naka-lockdown. Meron din pala siyang chapter quiz. Ayan. So, again, itong Illustrator, I can bring this over to After Effects and I can create animation. Okay, coming from Illustrator going to After Effects. So, ayan po, no? Comment down, Adobe Edu Creative. Ayan, so once more, we have just, finished Adobe Level 1 Creative Educator. Thank you for joining. Ayan, salamat. Ayan, Sir Alfred, kumusta po? Ayan. Tapos ka na rin ba sa level 1? Ayan, so hoping tapos na rin po kayo. Thank you again, no, for joining. Sinamahan nyo po ako at salamat po ulit sa oras nyo, and hoping to see you po as an Adobe Creative Educator din. Ayan. Thank you po and goodbye.